All right, all right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this behind the scenes interview with Bryan Spellman. Behind the oh Lord, behind the scene, behind the scenes of, whew, behind the scenes of, okay, behind the scenes of nigga shit. Now, poor Bryan. First of all, I'm gonna just let him introduce himself, and then we'll jump into the poor Bryan moment. All right, come on, introduce yourself, Bryan. Say hi to the people.
Hi, people. I'm Brian.
Well, tell us what you do. How did we find one another? Say something awe-inspiring.
Awe-inspiring. Well, uh, a few only weeks ago at this point, I met you on set when I decided to go try to be a barista for a show that's coming on TV at some point. And yeah, met you there, and I was just looking so great in the background. You're like, we need to talk to this guy.
It's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. I was fortunate enough, blessed enough, to be first AD on this television series, and Bryan's energy and everything did stand out tremendously to me. So that's a good thing.
I thought I was making all that up.
No, it was. It was. I mean, you saw the other people who had your general demographic. I didn't stop them. It was his oof. He had oof. See? Okay. So, Bryan, let's just jump in, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how easy or difficult was this for you?
Not easy. Yeah, I never thought that, one, I would ever say these words, or two, say them in front of people, or three, have this group of people want me to say. I mean, I never thought I'd actually be here. Yeah, this is very interesting. We had a long talk. I remember when you were talking about, hey, I have this role, but we need to have a pre-roll interview or a pre-audition interview first. And I'm like, what? It's a sensitive nature. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Is this some kind of film that I'm going to get in trouble for making, or it goes in the wrong part of Blockbuster, or that doesn't exist anymore. But so
Y'all know about Blockbuster?
it used to exist a long time ago. In fact, you paid everybody in Blockbuster gift cards today. So yeah,
you do.
It was nice. Yeah, but yeah, no, it was good. What was I saying before I got off track?
You were saying that it was a sensitive nature, and
Yes.
I wanted to I wanted to talk to you before you auditioned.
Yeah, so you told me the idea of the film, and then you told me the lines you wanted me to say, and I'm like, no, I don't know what's happening, but no. And I mean, I said, like, why are we making this film? What is the reason for this? And once you explained that to me, then I was like, okay, I'm going to consider this. It's still way out of my normal comfort zone, but I'm going to consider this. And not just consider, I mean, I prayed about this for the afternoon, did a lot of thinking.
Y'all, Bryan was praying about this. Seriously, it was serious. It was serious.
Yeah, so we talked Saturday morning after I had just gotten done with filming my own murder scene. That was great. And then, yeah, that after I think it was that afternoon, late in the afternoon, I said, okay, I've thought all day about this, prayed about it. I really like what you're trying to do with this. So now I'd like to audition. And there was also a lot of just to be completely blunt, if it was a white director and a white production crew who wanted this to happen, I would be like, this is just not happening.
Not at all.
I mean, I told you that. I'm like, I don't understand exactly, can't relate to the experience, the reason, the meaning, like all the stuff, all the emotion that goes into this that you're trying to portray through this. And so, but it sounds to me from our talks that there's hopefully a lot of good that's going to come out of this film, with a lot of people thinking about themselves, who they are, their backgrounds, their history, what makes them who they want to be, and if they are who they actually think they are. And so
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key. Yeah, it's so funny. The motivation behind this piece, when it was birthed in my brain, actually had nothing to do with race initially, right? It was born because I have in my lifetime been in a series of relationships where really amazing guys really loved me a lot, but on a regular basis they would make comments that they thought were terms of endearment about my curves or my weight or Miss Thickums or my sweet thick thighs. And it's just like, after a while, you start going, okay, so here's the thing. I'm really pretty. I'm really smart. I'm really talented. If you mention my thighs just one more time, I swear. And then it made me kind of start wondering, because most of the men who I have dated, I'm the first plus size woman they've ever dated. They usually date really little women, and then they meet me and they realize how amazing I am. And we're friends, and then they just fall in love, like on accident. And then we're in this relationship. And so then I'm like, are you, like, what is happening? Are you continuously every day saying this out loud to convince yourself that you in love with all of this, or I mean, me or yourself? Like, what is happening? And so I've been in that predicament a bunch of times. But the real fun, and I think I told you this during the interview, is I have a lot of non-black friends, lots and lots of them, and for the most part, they're all very intentional and very sensitive to the things that they say and do, and fill in the blanks. But sometimes, especially the ones that are older who come from a different era, right? They say stuff that makes you go, oh, dear God, you can't say that in public in front of anybody else. And you better be glad I'm your good black friend, because I'd be mad at you, right? You know what I mean? It's like, you better be glad I love you. And then I come to realize 90% of my non-black friends who say things that could really be hurtful to me or to this culture as a whole don't even realize that what they're saying is offensive. They don't even realize it. So the term microaggressions came about, really used a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. But I'm like, little Miss, I won't say her name because she's a big supporter and she watches everything. She's not in any kind of way being aggressive, micro or otherwise. She's just in her 80s. And she doesn't realize that she can't say this stuff. You know what I mean? She'll make some reference to kids that were working with or something, and they're black kids or brown kids, and she'll go, and they were so well behaved. To the rest of us, it's like, oh my God, are you shocked that they're well behaved because they're black and brown? You know what I mean? But she doesn't mean it. And so this then became a interracial couple because I wanted to show that layer, right? Of two people who genuinely love each other, And all of a sudden, there are layers there that neither of them really knew they had until 20 years later in their relationship. So Bryan said, and I believe him because he was stressing in rehearsal. He was like, do I have to say it? I was like, no, you can wait till we get on set. He didn't want to say it. But tell me about the moment that you first had to say it, and had to say it in the presence of your co-star Ebony.
Like the first time was in the audition tape or audition Zoom interview, and you made me do it more than once there too.
I did. Sorry.
I have no idea what the rest of my household was thinking at this point. But
Oh my God. Your family was like, what is happening? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, it was definitely. I mean, that was emotional because even knowing the reasons behind it, like everything, it's just very. It's hard to just really imagine why would I in my life want to yell this out, right? And I mean, and then there's all this stuff you even talked about there of the characters realizing their history and do they say things that, like all that sort of stuff. I mean, all of that comes in there too when you're like, what is happening right now? And on set, when we did this today, I mean, there was a part of me who was like, is this just some kind of really big trick and there's this big elaborate prank playing here? Like, I'm like, what is actually happening? So we get on set and realize, okay, all this is definitely for real. And, the first run through, we have to get into the mindset of this is someone that I've been with for 20 years. And at the beginning of the marriage, we were never going to say this word. Like, it just wasn't ever going to happen. So there's shock just from the husband's point of what just happened and watching all this spiral out of control and then getting to the big build-up and then realizing, is this true? Like, why am I bringing this up? Why does color matter? Why does all this happen? And there's so much in there that it's, uh, you know, not method acting this, but trying to feel like,
Yeah.
what is really going on here. And it's definitely an emotional. I mean, it was very emotional. You could tell.
I did. I kept having to go, okay, Brian, go take 5. Okay, Brian, you go take 73. You know? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to put you in the hot seat for a minute because now.
You haven't already done that
No.
today?
Listen over and over again. Y'all, I told Brian, okay, we're only gonna do 2 takes. You're only gonna have to say it twice. And then on the 5th take, I was like, ooh, Brian, I'm so sorry. Go take 5. Let's do it one more time. Because they were just starting to get into the hang of it. So here is your hot seat questions as an actor, and this is also feeding my ego. Okay, you ready? Partially. Okay, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well written and believable for you was the script?
I think the script was very believable. I mean, I'll go with over 10 because you could tell that there were real experiences happening here. The examples given weren't, I don't think, just pulled from absolutely out of nowhere. Like, I could believe these are real things that have either happened because of things in your life or in Ebony's life that you knew about, but that have all been pulled together. All the examples of when the family does all these things. Yeah, there was no part where I'm like, this is just made up, for the purpose of
Malarkey.
this. It felt very real, and it felt like something I could see as this is a real couple, these are real struggles, and there's a real history here, and it has been building up for a long time. And that definitely came out just in reading the script. And then even more than that, though, all the notes that you gave in, here's all, before this scene, just remember, when you hear this is the first time you've ever heard her say this, or all of that kind of stuff really helped make everything very real. So I know that when you created this, they're very real characters, even though they're not, but they are.
Right, right. They're a compilation of a lot of real characters that I know. Okay, second question. Is this your first time being intimate on camera, and how awkward was that to just walk in and have to just start getting it with a lady you never met?
Yeah. Was it that obvious?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. A little bit. But that's another good thing. If you were super comfortable saying the N word, and if you just jumped in and started rubbing all on her, I would have been like, oh, Brian, oh my God, what's your home number? So no, it was really, but it was fun to watch because I'm like a 12-year-old, so I was giggling. It was really funny. Okay, last but not least, as we get ready to promote this, look directly into the camera and tell the people exactly what you will say you want the world to take away from this and what you want to happen as a result of them watching it. Go.
You could have given me a warning that this question was coming. All right, so as a result of watching this, to take away is really, who are you? What makes you who you are? And are you happy with who you are? I think that's it.
Good job. Good job. That might be my log line, y'all.
Oh, wait, let me do it again. Who are you? What makes you who you are? And are you happy with who you are?
That's good. That's good. Good. No. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Bryan Spellman. Woo! Thank you, Brian. You were amazing.
Thanks for having me on this.
Yeah.
I'm still scared, but thanks for having me on this.
All right, thank you.